Think you know everything about Damon Wayans' family sitcom? From a child actress pulled by her protective mother to disco royalty joining the cast, from the same actor playing two different boyfriends, to a real-life piano prodigy who became the youngest Sydney Opera House soloist ever, My Wife and Kids harbored secrets that would make even Michael Kyle's signature pranks look ordinary. These behind-the-scenes revelations will completely change how you see this beloved early 2000s comedy. Fact 1. Mother's moral stand triggers major recast. One of the most dramatic behind-the-scenes changes in television history happened when 12-year-old Jaz Raycole was suddenly pulled from My Wife and Kids after just one season, not because of her acting ability, but because her mother took a moral stand against a storyline she found inappropriate for her young daughter. Jaz Raycole had been playing Claire Kyle, the middle child of the Kyle family, throughout the entire first season of the show, which aired from 2001 to 2002. She had established herself as a talented young actress, bringing wit and attitude to the role of Michael and Jay's teenage daughter. However, when the writers began planning the second season, they developed a storyline that would involve Claire's friend Charmaine, played by Raven Simonet, becoming pregnant. According to reports from the Complete Directory to Primetime Network and cable shows, Jaz's mother strongly objected to this pregnancy storyline, feeling it was not appropriate content for her 12-year-old daughter to be involved with, even as a supporting element of the plot. The mother's concerns centered around the mature themes and the potential impact on her young daughter's career and personal development. Rather than compromise on the storyline or try to work around the family's concerns, the show's producers made the decision to recast the role entirely. Jennifer Freeman was brought in to replace Jaz Raycole as Claire Kyle, starting with the second season premiere. Freeman was slightly older, and the producers felt she could better handle the more mature storylines they had planned for the character. Interestingly, the show actually acknowledged this dramatic change on screen with a tongue-in-cheek reference. In the first episode of Season 2, Michael Kyle looks at his daughter Claire and comments, "Whatever it is, you look like a whole different person," directly addressing the obvious fact that the actress had completely changed. Jaz Raycole later reflected on the experience in an interview with the Christian Post, explaining that she was only 12 years old when she got the job, and that the producers ultimately wanted someone older for the direction they planned to take the character. Fact 2. Disco legend's daughter secretly joined cast. When Brooklyn Sudano joined the cast of My Wife and Kids in Season 4 as Junior's girlfriend Vanessa, most viewers had no idea they were watching the daughter of one of music history's most iconic performers, the legendary Donna Summer, known worldwide as the Queen of Disco. Brooklyn replaced actress Meagan Good, who had played Vanessa Scott during Season 3, as Junior's new love interest who eventually becomes pregnant with his child. Unlike the highly publicized recasting of Claire Kyle, this change happened without any on-screen acknowledgement or explanation, and the show simply continued with Brooklyn in the role as if nothing had changed. What made this casting particularly fascinating was Brooklyn's incredible musical heritage that most fans never discovered. Her mother, Donna Summer, was a Grammy Award-winning superstar who dominated the disco era of the 1970s with massive hits like Love to Love You Baby, Hot Stuff, and Last Dance, which even won an Academy Award for Best Original Song from the movie Thank God It's Friday in 1978. Brooklyn's father, Bruce Sudano, was also deeply embedded in the music industry as a successful songwriter and musician who had written songs for legendary artists including Michael Jackson. This means Brooklyn grew up in a household where musical royalty was simply part of daily life, yet she chose to pursue acting instead of following directly in her parents' musical footsteps. Brooklyn was actually born in Los Angeles and named after her father's hometown of Brooklyn, New York. She spent her early childhood on a 56-acre ranch in Thousand Oaks, California, before her family moved to Connecticut when she was 10 years old, and later to Nashville, Tennessee, when she was 14. While studying acting in New York, Brooklyn was discovered by a modeling agent and signed with the prestigious Ford Modeling Agency, appearing in advertising campaigns for major brands like Clairol, Clean and Clear, and Kmart before landing her breakthrough television role. The fact that music royalty was hiding in plain sight on a popular family sitcom remained largely unknown to audiences, making Brooklyn's presence on the show one of the entertainment industry's best-kept secrets during the early 2000s. Fact 3. Same actor, two different boyfriends mystery. In one of the strangest casting decisions in sitcom history, My Wife and Kids brought back actor Andrew McFarlane to play Claire's boyfriend, not once, but twice, giving him completely different names, personalities, and backstories, as if audiences wouldn't notice it was the exact same person. Andrew McFarlane first appeared in the Season 1 episode, Breaking Up and Breaking It, as Roger, Claire's very first boyfriend, who seemed more interested in playing video games with her father Michael than actually spending time with Claire herself. Roger was portrayed as a typical teenage boy who loved gaming and hanging out with Michael Kyle, much to Claire's frustration, and their relationship quickly fizzled out when Claire realized he wasn't paying enough attention to her. However, when Season 2 began, the producers decided they wanted Andrew McFarlane back on the show. But instead of bringing back the character of Roger, they created an entirely new boyfriend character named Tony Jeffers. This new character was introduced in the Season 2 episode Letting Go and had a completely different personality from Roger, being deeply religious and focused on maintaining his Christian values rather than being obsessed with video games. What makes this casting choice so bizarre is that the show made no attempt to explain why Claire's new boyfriend looked exactly like her previous boyfriend, and the characters themselves never acknowledged the obvious physical similarity. Tony became a recurring character who stayed with Claire for the remainder of the series, appearing in Seasons 2 through 5, while Roger was never mentioned again. The two characters had completely opposite personalities as well, with Roger being portrayed as somewhat dim and easily distracted by Michael's games and gadgets, while Tony was depicted as a thoughtful, religious young man who often struggled with balancing his faith with his feelings for Claire. Michael Kyle even referred to Tony as a religious Eddie Haskell in one episode, showing how different the character's persona had become. This unusual decision to reuse the same actor for two different boyfriend roles created one of the most peculiar casting mysteries in television history, leaving fans to wonder whether the producers simply hoped no one would notice, or if there was some deeper reasoning behind keeping Andrew McFarlane in the Kyle family orbit. Fact 4. Real child prodigy played fictional genius. When Noah Gray Cabey was cast as Franklin Mumford, the ultra-intelligent piano-playing boyfriend of Katie Kyle, the producers had no idea they were hiring someone whose real-life abilities actually exceeded those of his fictional character, making him one of the most authentically cast child prodigies in television history. Franklin was written as a musical genius who could play complex piano pieces and often served as the voice of reason despite being younger than the other Kyle children, but Noah Gray Cabey's actual accomplishments were far more impressive than anything the writers could have imagined. Born in Chicago, Illinois, on November 16, 1995, Noah began showing extraordinary musical talent when he was just a toddler after his parents gave him a toy keyboard. By the time Noah was 4 years old, he had already mastered playing complicated and flawless piano pieces on a real piano, and he began performing in venues throughout New England and Washington. His talent was so remarkable that he was invited to tour with the New England Symphonic Ensemble, traveling to Jamaica for his first international performance while still in preschool. The most incredible achievement came in July of 2001 when 5-year-old Noah traveled to Australia and became the youngest soloist ever to perform with an orchestra at the world-famous Sydney Opera House, one of the most prestigious concert venues on the planet. During that same trip, he also performed at the Queensland Conservatory and the International Convention in Brisbane, establishing himself as a legitimate classical music prodigy on the international stage. What made Noah's casting even more remarkable was that he continued his real-world musical career while filming the show, appearing on major television programs like The Tonight Show with Jay Leno, Good Morning America, The Oprah Winfrey Show, and Ripley's Believe It or Not to showcase his incredible piano skills. His parents even started a project called Action in Music to help other children develop their musical talents and perform internationally. Unlike many child actors who simply pretend to have special abilities, Noah Gray Cabey brought genuine world-class talent to his role, making Franklin's musical genius completely believable, because it was essentially Noah just being himself on camera. Fact 5. Wayans family takeover behind scenes. While viewers watched Damon Wayans play the patriarch of the Kyle family on screen, behind the cameras, My Wife and Kids became a genuine Wayans family production, with at least 8 different family members contributing their talents as writers, producers, directors, and even on-screen performers throughout the show's 5-season run. The most prominent family contributor was Kim Wayans, Damon's sister, who had previous acting experience from In Living Color and In the House, but chose to work exclusively behind the scenes on this show. Kim started as a writer midway through Season 2 and quickly climbed the ranks, becoming executive story editor in Season 3, producer in Season 4, and supervising producer by Season 5, making her one of the most influential creative voices on the series, despite never appearing on camera. Damian Dante Wayans, Damon's nephew, also played multiple roles in the production, serving as supervising producer in Season 3, producer in Season 4, and executive story editor in Seasons 4 and 5. Beyond his producing duties, Damian also wrote and directed several episodes throughout Seasons 3, 4, and 5, giving him significant creative control over the show's direction and tone. Damon Wayans Jr., who looked remarkably similar to his father, appeared on screen as John, one of Junior's friends and basketball teammates, in 8 episodes, while simultaneously working as a staff writer and story editor on more than 50 episodes. He wrote his first episode during Season 4 and became a regular member of the writing staff by Season 5. Craig Wayans, another nephew in the family, began as a writer and executive story editor in Season 2 before being promoted to supervising producer. Elvira Wayans, Damon's sister, worked as a writer's assistant and contributed to multiple episodes as a writer throughout the series. The family involvement extended to the youngest generation as well, with Damon's real children making appearances throughout the first 4 seasons. His sons Damon Jr. and Michael played Junior's friends, while his daughter Cara Mia appeared as Claire's friend in multiple episodes, with her character's name changing from Bree to Shantae between appearances. Even Keenan Ivory Wayans, the eldest brother and creator of In Living Color, made a guest appearance as Michael's brother Ken in the Season 1 episode A Little Romance. Fact 6. Cancellation Announcement Day, before finale. In one of the most shocking and poorly timed decisions in television history, ABC announced the cancellation of My Wife and Kids just one day before the Season 5 finale was scheduled to air, instantly transforming what was supposed to be an exciting cliffhanger into a permanent mystery that would never be resolved. The episode in question was called The V Story and was directed by Tisha Campbell Martin herself, making the timing of the cancellation announcement even more devastating for the cast and crew. The storyline centered around Jay reading a newspaper article about a 67-year-old woman giving birth, which prompted her to demand that Michael get a vasectomy to prevent any unexpected pregnancies at their age. The episode built to what was intended to be a major season-ending cliffhanger, with Michael initially refusing the vasectomy and suggesting that Jay get her tubes tied instead. When Jay agrees to undergo the procedure, Michael has a change of heart and decides he should be the one to have the surgery after all. However, just as he tells Jay about his decision, she delivers the bombshell news that it no longer matters because she has discovered she is already pregnant with their 4th child. This pregnancy revelation was meant to set up major storylines for Season 6, with the writers planning to explore how Michael and Jay would handle becoming parents again after their other children were already teenagers. Damon Wayans had been assured by ABC executives that the show would be renewed for the 2005 to 2006 television season, which is exactly why the writers felt comfortable ending on such a dramatic cliffhanger. The cancellation announcement came as a complete shock to everyone involved in the production. Damon Wayans later expressed his frustration and confusion about the network's decision, stating that he had been given assurances about the show's future and had no indication that cancellation was even being considered. ABC's official reason for ending the show was declining ratings, with network officials telling industry publications that they felt the series had played itself out after 5 seasons. However, the abrupt timing of the announcement suggested that the decision may have been made at the last minute, leaving fans permanently wondering what would have happened to the Kyle family and their unexpected new addition. Fact 7. Impossible age gap between mother and son. In what might be the most mathematically accurate casting decision in television history, Tisha Campbell was only 13 years older than George Gore II in real life, creating an age gap that perfectly matched the show's backstory about Michael and Jay becoming teenage parents when they were just 17 years old. When My Wife and Kids premiered in 2001, Tisha Campbell was 31 years old, while George Gore II, who played her eldest son Junior, was 18 years old. This unusually small age difference between actors playing mother and son initially seemed like a casting mistake, but it actually made perfect sense within the context of the show's established family history. Throughout the series, it was repeatedly mentioned that Michael and Jay Kyle had gotten pregnant with Junior when they were both 17 years old, forcing them to get married young and start their family much earlier than they had originally planned. This backstory was a central element of Michael's character development, as it explained why he was so paranoid about his own children making the same mistakes he and Jay had made in their youth. The 13-year age gap between Tisha Campbell and George Gore meant that if their characters had followed the same timeline, Jay would have been 14 when Junior was born, which was actually very close to the show's official backstory of teenage pregnancy at 17. This made their on-screen relationship one of the most realistic mother-son dynamics on television, at least from an age perspective. What made this casting even more remarkable was that both actors were able to convincingly portray their respective roles, despite the small age difference. Tisha Campbell brought the authority and wisdom of a mother who had been forced to grow up quickly, while George Gore played Junior as someone who was still figuring out his place in the world, much like any teenager with young parents might experience. The age gap also added an extra layer of authenticity to scenes where Jay would discipline Junior or give him advice, because in real life she was young enough to remember what it was like to be his age, yet old enough to have gained the perspective that comes with being a parent and wife for over a decade. Fact 8. Secret Cosby Show Blueprint Confession. In a surprisingly candid admission that revealed the creative strategy behind My Wife and Kids, Damon Wayans openly confessed that he deliberately studied and copied The Cosby Show formula, analyzing exactly what Bill Cosby had done right as a television father, and applying those same principles to his own character. During an interview with the Los Angeles Times shortly after My Wife and Kids first launched, Wayans made no attempt to hide his inspiration, stating directly, "Of course, no one has done this kind of show as well as The Cosby Show, but we did look at the Cosby blueprint." This honest acknowledgement was unusual in Hollywood, where creators typically try to emphasize the originality of their work rather than admitting they were following someone else's successful template. Wayans explained that when he and the writing team were developing the show, they specifically analyzed what had made Cliff Huxtable such an effective television father and decided to incorporate those same qualities into Michael Kyle's character. The most important element they borrowed was the concept of the intelligent father who couldn't be fooled or manipulated by his children's schemes. In the same interview, Wayans elaborated on this approach, saying, "When we were putting it together, we thought of what Cosby did right. He was smart on his show. The kids couldn't pull things over on him." This became a defining characteristic of Michael Kyle, who was always one step ahead of his children and used elaborate pranks and lessons to teach them important life values. Wayans also adopted Cosby's philosophy about the father's role in the family, explaining, "The stories have a definite universality, and the main theme is, I'm not your friend. I'm your dad, and I'll be your dad until I die. It's about a father being a disciplinarian." This approach meant that Michael Kyle, like Cliff Huxtable, would prioritize being a parent over being popular with his kids. The strategy of deliberately following The Cosby Show blueprint extended beyond just the father figure, as Wayans explained that they wanted to neutralize race and focus on universal family themes rather than making the show specifically about being a black family, which was exactly the same approach that had made The Cosby Show so broadly appealing to audiences of all backgrounds. Fact 9. Cliffhanger pregnancy was false positive plan. Years after My Wife and Kids ended on its shocking pregnancy cliffhanger, creator Damon Wayans finally revealed the secret resolution that fans would have seen if the show had been renewed for a 6th season, and it turns out the dramatic ending would have been resolved in the most anticlimactic way possible. According to Wayans, the plan for season 6 was to reveal that Jay's pregnancy test had been a false positive, meaning she wasn't actually pregnant at all, and the entire vasectomy drama that dominated the series finale would have been completely unnecessary. This revelation would have allowed the show to return to its normal family dynamics without adding a 4th child to the Kyle household or dealing with the complications of Michael and Jay becoming parents again in their 40s. The false positive resolution would have been particularly ironic, given how much emotional turmoil the pregnancy announcement had caused in the season 5 finale, titled The V Story. The entire episode revolved around Jay's fears about becoming an older mother after reading about a 67-year-old woman giving birth, leading to heated arguments between her and Michael about who should undergo surgery to prevent future pregnancies. The storyline had built to Michael finally agreeing to get a vasectomy, only to have Jay reveal at the last moment that it no longer mattered because she was already expecting their 4th child. This dramatic twist was designed to create suspense and anticipation for season 6, with viewers wondering how the family would adjust to having a new baby when their other children were already teenagers. However, the false positive resolution would have meant that all the tension, arguments, and emotional stress the characters went through in the finale was based on incorrect information. Michael's reluctance to get the procedure, Jay's insistence on the surgery, and their eventual role reversal would have been rendered meaningless by a simple medical mistake. This planned resolution also would have allowed the writers to continue focusing on the existing Kyle children's storylines without having to write around a pregnancy or incorporate a new baby into the show's established family structure. The false positive twist represented a classic television writing technique of creating dramatic tension with a cliffhanger, then quickly resolving it to return to the status quo. Fact 10. No holiday episodes in 5 seasons. In a bizarre departure from standard family sitcom tradition, My Wife and Kids completely avoided holiday episodes throughout its entire 5-season run from 2001 to 2005, never once featuring Christmas, Halloween, Thanksgiving, or any other major holiday celebration, despite producing 123 episodes over nearly 5 years. This absence of holiday content was particularly unusual because holiday episodes are considered essential elements of successful family sitcoms, providing writers with built-in storylines about family gatherings, gift-giving drama, costume mishaps, and seasonal conflicts that audiences expect and enjoy. Shows like Full House, Family Matters, The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, and virtually every other family comedy from that era made holiday episodes a regular part of their programming schedule. The decision to skip holiday episodes became even more puzzling when considering that My Wife and Kids was specifically designed as a family-friendly show that dealt with universal themes about parenting, sibling relationships, and household dynamics that would have been perfect for holiday-themed storylines. The Kyle family's personalities and Michael's elaborate teaching methods would have provided plenty of opportunities for holiday chaos and life lessons. Christmas episodes in particular are typically among the most popular and memorable episodes of family sitcoms, often becoming annual viewing traditions for fans and providing opportunities for special guest stars, musical numbers, and heartwarming family moments. Halloween episodes allow for costume comedy and mischief, while Thanksgiving episodes focus on family gratitude and traditional gathering conflicts. Instead of holiday episodes, My Wife and Kids focused entirely on everyday family situations like school problems, dating drama, career challenges, and typical household conflicts that could happen at any time of year. The show's episodes dealt with topics like Junior's poor grades, Claire's boyfriend troubles, Katie's childhood adventures, and Michael's various schemes to teach his children important lessons. This complete avoidance of holiday content meant that viewers never got to see how the Kyle family celebrated special occasions, what their holiday traditions might have been, or how Michael would have incorporated his signature pranks and teaching moments into seasonal celebrations. The absence of holiday episodes remains one of the most mysterious creative decisions in the show's history, with no official explanation ever provided by the writers or producers. Fact 11. Michael Kyle's TV Dad Hall of Fame. In 2004, TV Guide officially recognized Michael Kyle as one of television's most memorable father figures by ranking him number 27 on their prestigious list of the 50 greatest TV dads of all time, placing Damon Wayans' character among the most iconic paternal figures in television history. This ranking was published in TV Guide's June 20, 2004 issue and represented a significant achievement for a character who had only been on television for 3 years at that point. The fact that Michael Kyle earned a spot on this exclusive list while My Wife and Kids was still in its 4th season demonstrated how quickly the character had made an impact on audiences and television critics alike. The TV Guide list included legendary television fathers from decades of programming, featuring characters like Ward Cleaver from Leave It to Beaver, Mike Brady from The Brady Bunch, and Cliff Huxtable from The Cosby Show, making Michael Kyle's inclusion particularly impressive given the competition from such established and beloved characters who had been entertaining families for much longer periods. What made Michael Kyle's ranking especially noteworthy was his unique approach to fatherhood that combined traditional discipline with modern humor and unconventional teaching methods. Unlike many television dads who relied on gentle guidance or stern lectures, Michael Kyle became famous for his elaborate pranks and schemes designed to teach his children important life lessons, which he referred to as Michael Kyle's signature moments. The character's appeal came from his ability to be both a loving father and a formidable opponent to his children's mischievous plans, always staying one step ahead of Junior, Claire, and Katie, while maintaining his sense of humor and deep commitment to their well-being. Michael Kyle represented a new type of television father who could be simultaneously silly and wise, strict and understanding, creating a complex character that resonated with both parents and children watching the show. The TV Guide recognition validated Damon Wayans' performance and the show's writing, confirming that Michael Kyle had successfully joined the ranks of television's most memorable and effective father figures, despite being a relatively new addition to the family sitcom. Fact 12. Child star graduated Harvard by age 16. Noah Gray Caby's portrayal of the intellectually gifted Franklin Mumford became even more remarkable when fans discovered that the young actor's real-life academic achievements actually surpassed those of his fictional character. As he graduated from high school at just 16 years old and was admitted to Harvard University, one of the most prestigious institutions in the world. While Franklin was written as a child prodigy who could solve complex problems and offer wisdom beyond his years, Noah Gray Caby was living out an even more impressive academic journey in reality. He attended Paraclete High School in Lancaster, California, where he excelled academically while simultaneously maintaining his acting career and continuing his classical piano performances around the world. After graduating from high school in June of 2011 at the remarkably young age of 16, Noah was accepted into Harvard University's incoming class of 2015, an achievement that demonstrated his exceptional intellectual capabilities extended far beyond his musical talents. However, his transition to college life wasn't entirely smooth, as he initially struggled with the adjustment to university life despite his academic prowess. Noah actually participated in Harvard's first-year outdoor program, specifically FOP8, which is designed to help incoming students adjust to college life through outdoor activities and team-building exercises. After spending a week in this program, he made the difficult decision to defer his enrollment for a year so he could spend more time with his family and better prepare for the significant life change that college would represent. This decision showed that despite his extraordinary intellectual gifts, Noah still faced the same emotional and social challenges that many young people experience when leaving home for college, especially considering he was younger than most incoming freshmen. His choice to prioritize family time and personal readiness over academic advancement demonstrated a maturity that matched his intellectual abilities. The fact that Noah Gray Cabey could convincingly portray a genius character while actually being a genius himself made Franklin Mumford's scenes incredibly authentic, as Noah was essentially playing a slightly toned-down version of his real personality. His Harvard admission validated the believability of Franklin's character and proved that the show's writers had accidentally cast someone whose real-life achievements made his fictional accomplishments seem entirely plausible. Fact 13. Raven-Simoné's pregnancy storyline controversy. The pregnancy storyline that ultimately led to Jaz Raycole's shocking departure from My Wife and Kids became even more controversial when it was revealed that the pregnant friend character would be played by none other than Raven-Simoné, who was already a major Disney Channel star from That's So Raven and a beloved former cast member of The Cosby Show. Raven-Simoné was cast to play Charmaine, Claire's friend who discovers she is pregnant in the Season 2 opening storyline that Jaz Raycole's mother found so objectionable. The casting of such a high-profile young actress in this role made the storyline even more prominent and likely contributed to the intense scrutiny it received from parents and industry observers who were concerned about teenage pregnancy being depicted on family television. At the time this storyline was being developed, Raven-Simoné was at the height of her popularity with young audiences, having successfully transitioned from her childhood role as Olivia Kendall on The Cosby Show to becoming a Disney Channel phenomenon with her own hit series. Her involvement in a teenage pregnancy plot on another family sitcom created an unusual situation where a Disney star was portraying mature themes that contrasted sharply with her wholesome image. The fact that such a recognizable and popular young actress was chosen to play the pregnant character made Jaz Raycole's mother's concerns even more understandable, as it elevated what might have been a minor subplot into a major storyline that would likely receive significant attention from fans and media outlets. The casting decision suggested that the writers intended this pregnancy storyline to be a substantial part of the season rather than just a brief mention. When Jaz Raycole was pulled from the show by her mother, the storyline continued as planned, with Jennifer Freeman taking over the role of Claire, meaning that Raven-Simoné's guest appearance went ahead as scheduled despite the dramatic cast change it had indirectly caused. This created the unusual situation where Raven-Simoné appeared opposite a completely different actress playing Claire than the one who had been originally intended for those scenes. The controversy surrounding this storyline and its connection to such a prominent guest star made it one of the most talked about casting changes in early 2000s television. Fact 14. Franklin's real-life musical world tours. While millions of viewers watched Noah Gray Cabey portray the musically gifted Franklin Mumford on their television screens, the young actor was simultaneously living an even more extraordinary life as an internationally touring classical pianist, performing with professional orchestras and symphonic ensembles around the world during the same years he was filming the show. Noah's real-world musical career began when he was just 4 years old, performing in venues throughout New England and Washington with a level of skill that impressed professional musicians and classical music critics alike. His talent was so remarkable that he was invited to join the New England Symphonic Ensemble on international tours, traveling to countries most adults never get the chance to visit while he was still in elementary school. His first major international tour took him to Jamaica, where he performed as a featured soloist with the New England Symphonic Ensemble, demonstrating that his abilities were sophisticated enough to warrant inclusion in professional classical music productions. This experience provided him with invaluable performance experience and exposed him to diverse musical traditions and international audiences. The pinnacle of Noah's touring career came during his trip to Australia, where he performed at some of the most prestigious venues in the classical music world, including the Queensland Conservatory and the International Convention in Brisbane. These performances established him as a legitimate classical music prodigy on the international stage, with professional musicians and critics recognizing his exceptional talent. What made Noah's dual career particularly impressive was the scheduling challenges involved in maintaining both his television work and his international concert performances. While filming My Wife and Kids required him to be on set in Los Angeles for regular shooting schedules, his musical career demanded that he travel to different continents for performances with professional orchestras and ensembles. His parents started a project called Action in Music, to help other children develop their musical talents and gain opportunities to perform internationally, using Noah's success as inspiration for other young musicians who might not otherwise have access to such opportunities. This meant that Noah was not only pursuing his own musical career, but also helping to create pathways for other talented children to follow in his footsteps. Fact 15. Marvin Gaye death referenced dark humor. In what stands as one of the most shocking and unexpectedly dark moments in My Wife and Kids history, Michael Kyle delivered a joke that referenced the real-life tragic murder of legendary soul singer Marvin Gaye, creating a jarring contrast between the show's typical family-friendly humor and the grim reality of domestic violence. The joke occurred during a scene where Michael was trying to convince his children to listen to better music instead of the explicit rap songs they preferred. In his attempt to promote cleaner entertainment options, Michael suggested they listen to Marvin Gaye, explaining that the legendary singer was a better role model because he never swore, well, until his father shot him. This reference was particularly dark because it directly alluded to the actual circumstances of Marvin Gaye's death on April 1, 1984, when the 54-year-old singer was tragically killed by his own father, Marvin Gaye Sr., during a domestic dispute at the family home in Los Angeles. The incident occurred just one day before what would have been Marvin Gaye's 45th birthday, making it one of the most shocking and senseless deaths in music history. The fact that this joke made it past the writers, producers, network censors, and into the final broadcast version of a family sitcom was remarkable, considering that My Wife and Kids was designed to appeal to audiences of all ages and typically avoided controversial or potentially upsetting content. The show usually focused on lighthearted family situations and Michael's comedic teaching methods, rather than references to real-world violence or tragedy. What made the joke even more surprising was that it served no real purpose in advancing the plot or developing the characters, as it was simply a throwaway line meant to get a quick laugh from adult viewers who would understand the reference. The writers apparently felt comfortable including this dark humor, despite the fact that many younger viewers watching the show might not understand the reference, but could potentially be disturbed by the casual mention of a father shooting his son. The inclusion of this joke demonstrated how My Wife and Kids occasionally pushed the boundaries of what was considered appropriate for family television, slipping moments of adult humor into otherwise wholesome content.